What up, everybody? I just want to take a break real quick from movies and entertainment. Well, not entertainment, just movies and shows to bring attention to other entertainment. I just got to give a shout out to Francis Ngannou. Been watching this channel, besides movies, I'm an MMA fan. And oh my God, this is ridiculous, all right? Quick recap for anybody not paying attention. Even if you're not a fan of fighting, you have to be a fan of Francis Ngannou. Right? The man was born in Cameroon with nothing. He was working full-time labor at 7 years old to pay for school. Ridiculous. I mean, geez, you hear about kids today, I'm traumatized because my name's not written right on a coffee cup. This guy was 7 doing hard manual labor that most Americans would consider inhumane as adults to put himself through grade school. He wanted to fight. Everyone laughed at him, said, nobody fights in Cameroon, you idiot. There's no gyms here. So what did he do? He spent years of his life, a year and a half, 2 years, living in the jungle and then building a raft, then trying to paddle his way across the Mediterranean to France, where 2 or 3 times he got caught and sent back. And they don't send you back to a hotel like they do here. They sent him out to the desert to die, south of the jungle, to the African deserts, to die. And each time he survived, he went back to the jungle, built a new raft, lived in the jungle, and then tried to paddle again until the 3rd or 4th time he made it. This was a year and a half, 2 years of his life. He was already in his 20s. He didn't get to France, I believe, until he was 27, 28. And then he began training. And what happened? Well, we all know he knocked dudes out. He knocked dudes dead. Might be the hardest hitter in MMA history. Probably is. I don't even think there's a question. He is. I'll say he is. So, goes to the UFC, runs undefeated. Now, yeah, he had a hiccup with Miocic and Derek Lewis. But then he goes through 4 guys, including 2 ex-champions, in under 3 minutes. 4 men, under 3 minutes. I don't mean under 3 minutes each. I mean 4 men, under 3 minutes total. But the UFC started to screw him. After he knocked out Cain Velasquez, even a lot of hardcore UFC fans don't know this. But they said, Ngannou, we can't have you fight anybody. We can't have you fight anybody because it's irresponsible. You're going to hurt someone. You got to wait for the second fight for Miocic and Daniel Cormier. So he said, fine. He waited. Miocic won the rematch. DC won the first one, so they're going to run it back a 3rd time. But they both wanted to wait a year, which meant Ngannou had to wait a year. And he was... he had rent to pay. He's like, guys, can I fight in the meantime? And so they found an undefeated kickboxer named Rosenstrike. And he said, okay, if we have to wait a year, can it at least be for an interim belt? Can I do that so I have some purpose, something to look forward to? And they said, nah, no interim belt. And even though we're going to wait 12 months for the next heavyweight fight, no interim belt. He goes to Rosenstrike in 17 seconds. Well, Miocic won. I think he wanted to wait close to another year again, which meant Ngannou had to wait a year for the rematch, on top of all the other time he waited. This time he beats him soundly. Ngannou won the rematch, becomes the heavyweight champ. That was March of 2021, over 2 years ago now. And this is where things got really screwy with the UFC. If they weren't screwy before, making him wait a year between each fight, they did it again. They asked, can you turn around by June to fight Derek Lewis, the only other man to beat you? And he said, I was having visa issues. Can we wait till August? That's it. Instead of 3 months, 5 months. You follow? And they said, no, that's too long to wait. So we're going to let Derek Lewis and Gane, your teammate, fight for an interim belt in October. 2 months passed when you're waiting. And then you'll have to wait for the winner of that to choose when to fight again. Which meant Francis had to wait another year. And then he was out for a year waiting for negotiations. They said no. He leaves. John Jones comes back and becomes champion. And now they're trying to act like Jones. Remember, this was a guy they sat down and said, no, you're number 1. You're going to fight the winner of the DC Miocic trilogy. But you got to wait because it's irresponsible. We can't have you hurting people. And now the UFC's talking all this trash because he left and Jones came back. And now Jones is talking, oh yeah, you left, sissy? John, you sat out for 3 years while Francis was begging anyone to fight him. The second he leaves, you come back, you're like a dog, you know? I had this big dog came in, my little dog ran under the couch, hid, I think pissed under there. Big dog leaves, the little dog comes running out. That's what Jon Jones is in this relationship to Ngannou. So now, Ngannou, it was looking bad, all right? Chael's been saying this is stupid from the get-go, Chael Sonnen, the bad guy. Even his number one fan, probably, Jesse on Fire, was saying, you need to go back and beg Dana White. Beg the guy who made you sit out years between fights. Beg the guy who wouldn't let you have an interim, but let your teammate have an interim when you had to wait a year. Beg that guy who won't let you box. Beg that guy for forgiveness and sign whatever they give you. Sorry, I love Jesse and Chael, but I was so happy that they were wrong. They were completely wrong. Ngannou comes out, 2-fight deal for ridiculous amount of money. Probably $10 million or more for 2 fights. He's got a guarantee. He can box now. He's got the freedom to box. He got what he wanted with the insurance, and he's going to head the African expansion of the PFL. Now, before you give me all the PFL's not the UFC, though, I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's up there. It's expanding. They're going to Africa. This is the literal definition of a hero's journey. Okay, the hero's journey is not I leave my village, I go out and do something big. The hero's journey is I leave my village, I go out and do something big, but then I bring the treasure back. That's what Ngannou's doing, man. He has lived a literal, not figurative, literal hero's journey. And I don't think people appreciate how big this is. He's talking about he has done for himself long-term wealth. Now, I know you're saying, yeah, McGregor's got long-term wealth, $200 million, but not really. Not when you're talking about McGregor. Okay? In 2018, his net worth was $200 million, right? Well, let's do some math. I think he's got half a dozen mansions now. That's probably 10 million minimum, probably 15, but we'll call it 10. $4 million yacht, 14. Spent 10 million on clothes, 24, probably more. He's got one watch that's worth $1 million, $300,000 fur coat. All his suits are $500,000. He's always getting more. So what is that? We're up to 24 mil, a $60 million private plane. So now we're up to 84 million. Despite his 10 mansions, he freaking stays at penthouse suites all around the world half of the year. You know, talking $10,000 a night hotels. That's easily $2 million over 5 years. So now you're looking at, well, where were we? 84, 86, am I right? So 86 million. I know I'm forgetting. So, bail. All his bail for all his arrests. I've never done coke. I can never afford it. I know it's a rich man's drug. Only rich people can afford coke, and he does it all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and slap another 5 million on there. We'll call it 90. We'll round it around. Call it 90 million. In 5 years, Conor McGregor has spent $90 million. He has spent 45% of his net worth in 5 years. That motherfucker's going to die poor. You understand this? Jon Jones is going to die poor. Despite how much money they got. Yeah, he's getting more money for that fight, and this guy's going to get more money for that fight. Doesn't matter if Ngannou makes $40 million to box. One boxing match. Conor made $100. Yeah, but Ngannou's going to put that $40 million into a savings account. Or he's going to use it in his hometown where he's from. And he's gonna find a way to return it, okay? My point is, guys like Conor and Jones, they never retired because they can't stop spending money. There will be a point 5-10 years in the future when Conor and Jones don't have any more coke money and they're and they got to make rent and they sold all their mansions already. Okay, you don't believe me? Look at Mike Tyson. He was worth $200 million, ended up spending $230 million. Went bankrupt on $200 million. So $30 million in the hole. So they're going to, at some point in the not too distant future, are going to beg UFC or PFL or Bellator for another fight so they can come back. Bellator loves old UFC, past their prime, retired UFC fighters. Jones and McGregor are not going to be able to retire. They're going to come back. And you know what? It'll probably be in the UFC. Sure. But the fact is, Ngannou in 10 years will be sitting on a board that decides whether or not guys like Jones and McGregor get to come back. Do you understand that? Do you understand how huge that is? All right, I'm done. I just wanted to say, man, this is unbelievable. Like, what does Ngannou do when he's not training? He's a very quiet person. He's not on the social media. He's not out at the clubs like Jones and McGregor. Is he just studying? As I imagine, like Ngannou, he's like Robert De Niro on Cape Fear. He's just got 80-pound dumbbells while his book's open. He's reading another book on law or business or entrepreneurship. This is unbelievable. To come out of nowhere, everyone said he's stupid. Oh, this guy, he fired his management team? What does he know about negotiations? And he comes back with the biggest deal. Yes, it is the biggest deal. You don't know it's not $100 million to box Floyd. But the power and the long-term wealth that comes with it is better. It is better. Come back to me in 20 years and tell me I'm wrong. But anyway, world needs more people like Francis Ngannou. What a guy. I am so happy for him. I got to get a Ngannou shirt. I got a couple of guys' shirts. I need a shirt with Ngannou, even if it's just his name. I'll buy it to support Ngannou because he's the man and the world needs more people like him. I already said that, so I'm out.